February 4th, 1880. The Donnelly farmhouse burns. The men responsible for the blaze are on the move. A few miles away, William Donnelly and his wife Nora are asleep, unaware that 3 family members and a cousin are now dead. William's brother John and their friend Martin Hogan lie in a nearby room. Around 2 a.m., the mob approaches.
Then they went up the Roman line to where William lived, wanting to get William, who was my great-grandfather, for whatever grudges they had against him, probably many, and they started yelling out his name.
John Donnelly rises first. William stirs as he passes.
I heard John running through my room to the kitchen. I heard them holler, "Fire! Fire! Open the door, Will!" Then heard 2 shots in rapid succession. John fell back. I heard his head strike.
Hogan, a friend who's also in the room, sort of tells Will, stay in bed, stay in bed. They think that they killed you, and if they find out that you're still alive, they'll come back and kill us all.
William hears voices outside and steals a glimpse.
It was me they wanted, and it was me they thought they had shot. John was choking with the blood. The missus got a piece of blessed candle, and Hogan held it in John's hand till he died.
Thinking their mission accomplished, the mob vanishes into the night. In total, 5 Donnelly family members have been murdered in the span of a few hours. Before looking deeper at the testimony of the 2 eyewitnesses, Michael Boyd decides to work out a century-old puzzle. It is believed that the gunmen were right outside the door when they fired at John Donnelly. If so, how could they have mistaken their target, leaving William Donnelly alive inside? Boyd returns to historical artillery expert Gordon Lako, who has tracked down a shotgun similar to the one used in the attack. The team uses their first test shot to demonstrate the gun's force.
Okay, here we go.
Well, I think good heavens is the only word for that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Just gives you an idea just what that kind of shot would do to a human being.
Next, a distance test. According to the post-mortem report, the wound on John's body was 3 to 4 inches across.
Okay, Mr. Donnelly. It's fairly dramatic.
Despite the force, the spread is too narrow from this range. They try again, this time from a distance of 7 meters or 21 feet. The area of impact is now too large. They try a compromise at a distance of 5 meters or 15 feet. They have a match. Their conclusion overturns a long-held belief that may reveal how William escaped with his life.
It's always been believed that the suspects were immediately outside the door, but this testing today has proven to us that the suspects were about 16 or 17 feet away. Maybe that explains why, with the darkness, they mistook John Donnelly for William and shot him and thought that they'd accomplished their purpose and then left the crime scene.
February 4th, 1880. John Donnelly lies cold. The main Donnelly farmhouse sits in ruins. The 4 charred bodies are removed. With little else to go on, police search for eyewitnesses. Johnny O'Connor, afraid for his own life, comes forward and begins to name names. According to the boy, the person in the bedroom doorway was none other than James Carroll, local constable and leader of the inner core of the Peace Society. In his modern investigation, Michael Boyd has already singled him out as a key person of interest. Police have a second eyewitness in William Donnelly. When he peered outside, he claims to have recognized at least 3 men.
I saw John Kennedy, James Carroll, and James Ryder. These persons are well known to me.
Detective Boyd now goes over the stories of the 2 eyewitnesses word by word.
And I'm seeing, in essence, the same kind of testimony coming from William Donnelly as I'm seeing coming from Johnny O'Connor. The psychological commitment to the words are important. The use of pronouns. Speaking in first person, past tense, is important. And I'm seeing all of that.
William Donnelly claims to have seen others as well. Based on the 2 eyewitness accounts, 6 men in total are charged. At the top of the list are James Carroll and John Kennedy. For Michael Boyd, these 2 names come as little surprise. His modern investigation has already shown that Constable James Carroll and William's brother-in-law, John Kennedy, held long-standing grudges against the Donnelly family. Back in 1880, news of one of the worst mass murders in Canadian history spreads quickly. That same week, a funeral is held for James, Johanna, Tom, John, and Bridget Donnelly. Father Connolly, the man behind the formation of the Peace Society, officiates over the service.
He was actually quite upset at the funeral for the Donnellys. He openly broke down at the altar. He said something like, "I'm aware that people might get in fights at night, but, you know, I never knew they'd go to such lengths as this."
A trial date is set for the fall. But despite the 2 eyewitnesses, pitfalls begin to surface as the community closes ranks around its own. Few are willing to speak of the Peace Society and its membership, and few come forward with information about the mob.
They were all terrified. Everybody was living in fear after that. After those people were butchered and burned to death, and no one was talking to anybody because who knew when it was going to be, who was going to be next.
Homicide detective Michael Boyd is trying to shed new light on the legendary massacre of 5 members of the Donnelly family. Having recreated the night of the murders, he sifts through documents related to the trial that followed, a trial that captivated the entire country. October 1880, London, Ontario. 6 men are held in custody for the cold-blooded crime. If the eyewitnesses are to be believed, as many as 30 others, some of them pillars of the local community, also played a role in the murders. Confessions in court could start a domino effect, sending many prominent men to the gallows. For the prosecution, there is an early setback. Attempts to move the proceedings further from the scene of the crime fail.